I made a vow before the Lord. I know I made some mistakes. I know I did some things wrong, but I'm back. I'm better. I'm healed. I'm delivered. I'm set free. I'm changed. So where we going? Right? Now, with Jesus, the same thing has to hold true. Your desire, your will, your intention, your choice has to be Him. It's so easy to get caught up in what the world is doing, even after you receive your salvation. It's still socially acceptable. That's the word. It's still socially acceptable for you to be in the club, right? Because don't nobody know what I'm saying. Right? And I make it a point. I don't know about you, and I'm going to be done right here in a minute. But I make it a point when I go to places not to say, I'm Pastor so-and-so. Right? Or introduce myself as Pastor so-and-so. I make it a point not to, and I almost hate when people introduce me as Pastor so-and-so. Right? And here's why. 2 reasons. The number 1 reason is because I want people to see Christ in me, not be told that Christ is in me. Does that make sense? Okay. The second reason is I want to see who they really are. Right? Because if I knew that I was getting ready to be in the company of a pastor, boy, I'm going to be on my P's and Q's. Right? But no, I want to see who you really are. I want to see you for who you are. Right? I don't want to have to go through all this discernment, and I thank God for discernment, but I don't want to have to always use my discernment to find out who people really are. I want them to be exposed. I tell you, prime example, this is the last example I'm going to give, but there's a guy at the NTB up in Mooresville. His name is Greg. He's a great guy. And I went there a couple Saturdays ago at 7 o'clock in the morning when they first opened up. And man, Greg was hot. He was upset. He was because the new guy had just scheduled one person to be there and one tech, and the tech hadn't shown up, so he was the only person there. He's got 5 people at the counter waiting for him when they first opened up at 7 o'clock in the morning. So he works with the first person, or the first 3 people that were in front of me, and one guy that was behind me stepped out and he was on his cell phone, and the other people, I guess, had went back into the waiting room, and man, he just started letting them fly. You know, he was saying all kinds of bad words, right? And I was like, Greg, do you cuss like that all the time? Do you around your customers? I said, because I could have sworn I didn't hear you say that to them. I didn't hear you say that when they were around, and so on and so forth. And he was like, I'm sorry, I'm just so upset, da 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 da. I said, okay. When you get upset, do you always curse? He said, a lot of times I do. I said, Greg, didn't you tell me the last time I was here that you were a member at so-and-so church? He said, yeah. I said, okay, well, don't you think it would be better, Greg, to say something that would please your Father in heaven than to say something that's going to be in the moment? He said, man, thank you for that. Because he to this day, he still doesn't know that I'm a pastor. And I like the fact that he doesn't know that I'm a pastor because he's open, right? If I can impart in him a principle, if I can impart in him something that's going to cause him to do something different, then I've shown him the love of Christ, right? So I'd rather show people than for people to know that I'm a pastor and then put on a mask. Right? See, a lot of y'all come in here on Sunday morning with your mask on. Because all week long, you battling at home with your wife, you cussing folk out at your job because they ain't do what they supposed to do. You doing all kinds of things that you know you would not do if you knew God was watching over your shoulder, or if you knew Pastor was standing behind you at work. Right? I want you to do it out of choice. Just like Bartimaeus made a choice. He saved me, I'm going to follow him. You've got to do the same thing out of choice. He saved me, I'm going to follow him. He saved me, I'm going to do what he says. He saved me, I'm not going to say what I used to say. He saved me, I'm not going to do the things I used to do. He saved me, he delivered me, he set me free.
Yes, yes.
I choose to worship him. I choose to follow him. Bartimaeus followed Jesus after being healed. He also worshiped God as a result of his healing. Bartimaeus reminds us that a truly thankful person is someone who will walk after Jesus, not because of what Jesus had done, but because who Jesus is. Walking after Jesus. Look at what Luke 9:23 and 24 says. It says, then he said to all of them, whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it. But whoever loses their life for me will save it. Yes, you're going to have to lose what you think is your life. Not in the literal sense, but in the figurative sense, in the spiritual sense. You're going to have to shake off what you thought was your idea of living. You're going to have to shake off your idea of what you thought you were going to do in life and give your life to him and follow after him. Because if you give up your own life, you will surely live the life that he called you to live. All right, moving on. Last person in the Bible. And I want you to read these 14 verses on your own. Luke chapter 8, verses 26 to 39. 26 to 39. I'll bring out the highlights that I want you to see from this passage. But I want you to read this in your quiet time with God. The third person who shows evidence of a thankful heart, what was the first one? One who worships. The second one who walks with. The last one is one who witnesses. Oh, I'm coming around your corner, up in your driveway right now. One who witnesses. Let me just read a little bit of this. They sailed to the region of the Gerasenes. I guess I'm saying that right. Which is across from the lake from Galilee. When Jesus stepped ashore, he was met by a demon-possessed man from the town. For a long time, this man had not worn clothes or lived in a house, but he had lived in the tombs. When he saw Jesus, he cried out and fell at his feet. What did he do? He worshiped. He worshiped, shouting at the top of his voice, "What do you..." I'm sorry, did I... Jesus, he saw Jesus, he cried out and fell at his feet, shouting at the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I beg you, don't torture me." For Jesus had commanded the impure spirit to come out of the man. Many times it had seized him, and though he was chained hand and foot and kept under guard, he had broken his chains and had been driven by the demon into solitary places. Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" "Legion," he replied, because many demons had gone into him. And they begged Jesus repeatedly not to order them to go to the abyss. A large herd of pigs was feeding there on the hillside. The demons begged Jesus to let them go into the pigs, and he gave them permission. When the demons came out of the man, they went into the pigs, and the herd rushed down the steep bank into the lake and was drowned. When those tending the pigs saw what happened, they ran off and reported this in the town and countryside, and the people went out to see what had happened. When they came to Jesus, they found the man from whom the demons had gone out sitting at Jesus' feet, dressed in his right mind, and they were afraid. Those who had seen it told the people how the demon-possessed man had been cured. Then all the people of the region of Gerasenes asked Jesus to leave them because they were overcome with fear. So he got into the boat and left. The man from whom the demons had gone out begged